So I'd highlight a couple of things. One is that in terms of best practices, what we often find is the very first question is whether or not there's a good infrastructure for data. So is there a way that we've combined together customer data, vehicle data, if there are fleet operations, is that integrated in? And in many cases, as Kristinn was mentioning, we're utilizing work that's been done via our investments on connected vehicles. So we understand the schema, we understand what telemetry comes across, and we understand what parts of that are most important to help integrate into the customer journey. And then from that, once the data is brought together, then we can begin to create services around that. And that's where part of the partnership, both on data with the work we've done on the common data model, as well as the applications like fleet and mobility services that we've done with Anata together, make a very good example of some of those practices. Kristinn?
Yeah, and actually to add to this, when it comes to the business applications and to more or less allow the customer to feel that we are there to help him, we are actually taking the telemetry and the IoT data that is being collected, and we are actually not interested in the telemetry itself. We are interested in the actionable items from that telemetry. We would like to, for example, know for a rental company if some geo-fencing rules are being broken. We can do that. When it comes to proactively send or to create service leads, because we know that the mileage is at a certain level. So we look at the IoT data. We normally, if we get the feed, we will take that through Azure, through IoT Hub and Stream Analytics, and then actually we get the actionable results. And some of them have to do with the vehicle, and some of them have to do with the customer. This is an area where we are, on both Microsoft and Anata, we're also just trying to learn and see what scenarios we can enable with live feed from every single machine or vehicle on the planet. And this, of course, IoT, of course, has played a very important role in the construction equipment industry for a long period of time. And we're also benefiting from our learnings and findings from that space.
So there are a lot of different cases that we see where mobility can contribute, not only to consumer experience, but also to the business of an automotive network, whether we're thinking about the manufacturer, the national sales company, or the retailer. To give you a couple of examples that connect back to some of the cases that Kristinn mentioned, they have one customer, for example, that implemented their retail systems, and then based on that system was able to create a vehicle rental offer that became part of a rental business. And so actually serving rental customers with these solutions, whether it's a separate rental agency or part of a new car sales business, is a great example of sort of making a bridge to retail. Beyond that, we work together on fleet management solutions. We're also working together to develop a car subscription service solution that's built on the same service. So I think from a Microsoft perspective, one of the key opportunities that we see working with our customers is to find businesses that you want to explore. We're able to construct solutions that allow you to take new services or products to your customers and then innovate very quickly. And then determine what works in the market, and then kind of connect as well to other partners. So there may be other services providers that are offering mobility services or other opportunities to monetize the consumer engagement around the vehicles that you have that you can integrate into that same network. Any additional comments, Kristinn?
No, but I would maybe also, or maybe just to combine the question from Adam. He's asking about if Anata is providing only the software. And actually, when it comes to the hardware, both IoT hardware to collect IoT data and also just hardware overall, we are we are only focusing on the software. We find partners to work with, and for example, for car sharing and even touchless or keyless delivery of vehicles, we would always work with somebody that is strong in that market. So we are all about partnerships. We are not going to conquer the world alone. We need that. Of course, we have Microsoft to support us, but we need local partners that have the ability to deliver innovation locally. And these are just examples of the integrations that we normally do. Just like for many years, we have been integrating with different payment providers and things like that. So if there's a good Swedish company that is offering keyless or a touchless delivery of keys, we will work with them in Sweden and some other countries, and maybe somewhere else with someone else.
Yeah, maybe to add then, great point, Kristinn, about Adam's question. Typically, when we're working together with Anata, and just broadly working with customers in this space, what we'll attempt to determine first is what sort of connectivity is required in the vehicle or the industrial device. So, for example, is there an existing IoT platform that provides telemetry? How is that being managed? Is it going to come as part of the bill of materials for the car, for example, built into the vehicle system? Or is this an aftermarket solution? So there's sort of a wide range of different options to create the stream of telemetry from the vehicle or from the device. And at that point, then there's an opportunity to take that telemetry and then, as you're describing in the question, Adam, turn that into predictive models. So look at predictive maintenance patterns, predict cases where there may be, a kind of proactive recommendation for service if it's a car, or sending a field technician out if it's an industrial device, as well as creating additional consumer offers, tying back as well to warranty and after sales. In addition to that, there's a variety of other ways to use the data and connect business applications. So, that telemetry can feed into contact center, for example, or if it's a dealer, more of a business development center as well, or to fleet operations. So along that path, what we're seeing is the ability to kind of create applications off of that data. And we see this working in a lot of different vehicle markets. We do this sort of thing with various of the manufacturers we work with. We're doing the same with some national sales companies or dealer groups. We're actually doing this in markets outside of automotive. For example, Toyota Material Handling globally adopted our connected vehicle platform, which provides telemetry, and that's connected to a field service solution, which allows technicians to understand what the problem is and then go do work on a device that needs to be repaired. And that's then connected back into dealer operations. In summary, there are a lot of different ways to create the telemetry. We rationalize the data and then connect that to the applications that are needed to manage the interaction with the customer, the fleet, and the device.
So when it comes to the, first of all, if we just look at Automotive B2B, we actually have fleet sales been part of our business for a long period of time. And in many cases, the fleet sale is managed by the national sales companies and also maybe directly by the OEM. And that has been relatively straightforward for us. It is easy to provide a B2B platform, allow the fleet managers to have visibility into their fleet. And we have borrowed a lot from, for example, both the trucks and the construction equipment, where fleet sales and supporting fleet managers is quite common. And we have some projects where we have actually delivered B2B automotive sales projects. For us, sometimes we just use the same systems more or less. They're just configured a little bit differently. Because these, like I said in my presentation, we're trying to have multi-brand, multi-industry, multi-business model flavor to these systems and not tie us to one specific brand or a market. But what has been very interesting recently is actually how the OEMs started to open up on B2C. And actually with COVID hitting, there was a lot of importers and even OEMs that got a little bit worried because all the dealerships were closed and they were not selling one single vehicle. And their online presence was not there. And to buy a vehicle online was only possible if you were about to buy a Tesla or a Polestar. But all of a sudden, that had to be addressed, and that was done relatively successfully. But as soon as you start looking at these different automotive sales projects, they are relatively, every single project is a relatively unique one, but the technologies that are needed are just the platform capabilities that we provide.
If I might add, get two examples from a Microsoft perspective. We see this quite frequently. As Kristinn mentioned, often they're integrated together with retail sales. But to give you two examples that share the same pattern, these are both pan-European implementations. Step one with the customer was creating an integrated view of their customers, so a customer 360 model. And as part of that approach, this was drawing in data that was both part of the central national sales company operations as well as some retail data, along with some data that was syndicated from third parties. So we've got the option of sort of bringing a lot together to synthesize a view of the customer, understand demand signals, and integrate in analytics that not only create this 360 view, but take advantage of some AI and machine learning that can be implemented on top. Second step was integration with the marketing platform. In both cases, this happened to be Adobe. But if you sort of think about the natural progression, you've got the central view of the vehicle and the customer. You can then begin to personalize and integrate a bit more thoroughly with the marketing platform to create the digital interaction from a demand generation and experience standpoint. Then the third part was to take the demand that gets created and connect that in a more precise way to fleet sales as well as retail sales. And so the Microsoft Dynamics platform was utilized as part of the method for getting from the marketing platform to the dealer network. And then at that point, we can integrate with systems that might be using a lot of Microsoft technologies. We can also integrate with existing applications for managing, say, sales and service in those dealerships as well. So, I think the key for us is creating a flexible platform that integrates B2C and B2B together. And then we can integrate with the assets, for example, that Adobe has and Onada has to bring the journey together.
Well, when it comes to the cloud services, I think the answer is quite obvious. But we only focus on Microsoft. So for us, if somebody would like to use AWS or IBM or something, then you cannot have Onada. But when it comes to the digital transformation and using our platform, then most of the time the biggest competition is the internal IT organization. We have a conversation with the business, and the business is frantically looking for tools to change their business, how they work, what products they can offer, what services they can offer. And it is just because it's so much fun to write software. It is just by design the IT department that would like to have the opportunity to start all over again. They would either like to continue to make the greatest American quilt and just build new solutions that are stitched together with something that is in place, or they would like to get the opportunity to do what we have done, which is to use the Azure platform services and Microsoft 365 and Dynamics 365. And we just have to educate them and tell them, guys, we know it's fun to write software because we do that for a living. But please don't start with line number 1 of code. Use the platform, get to market quickly, transform your business quickly. We will help you to build up the competency to build on top of our platform the capabilities that make your organization unique. And the transition to the cloud actually relieves so many responsibilities that the IT organization is already having, like managing the infrastructure and things like that. And we can take those resources or that money and use that for something else.